I expect she's gonna come out throwing bombs, trying to take my head off.
The AllStar app, the #1 app in the business. UFC, Bellator, One Championship, PFL, and more. Get the app right now. Link in description. All right, Aspen. You're about to make your first appearance in the season, right? I know you made your debut last year, late last year, but do you feel like this is now? It's like now it's time. Now you're making your actual debut because the season's actually going to start.
Yes and no. It's just a different process because I think I got the debut feelings out of the way for the last one. Sorry.
Oh, good.
But yeah, so already had my debut and all that. But this is a new experience for me because obviously I've never done a tournament format, and I'm very excited about that. But it's new, but not necessarily like debut new, just like totally new experience feeling.
That's does that feel better for you? You know what I mean? That new feeling instead of kind of like going through the same motions as, your previous promotion?
Very much so. The tournament format is something I'm very excited about just because I know when my next fight's going to be.
Mhm.
And there's going to be no shelving, no waiting 6 months. It's just really cool to have that information.
And another aspect of the PFL, and I talked to other fighters about it as well, is like you don't need to call anybody out. You know that you're gonna get a fight. And if that person doesn't show up, there will be another person in line to fight you. So it doesn't matter.
Very much so. And the PFL seems to be wonderful about like if something happens and the opponent drops out, they will get you another one. Like it's not you're just going to be all right, another 2 months. It's like, nah,
Mhm.
we'll figure something out.
Yeah, that's great. April 7th, like I said, you're making your debut. Olena Kolesnyk. What are your perspectives of this matchup?
Watching her, she's a heavy-handed striker and from Southpaw. So Southpaw, heavy-handed striker, and she feels herself when she's in there when she's doing well. But yeah, no, it's exciting, and I like that kind of opponent because she's just really aggressive. So it makes for a better fight for everybody.
For sure, for the fans. And it seems like that style kind of gets her in trouble though at the same time.
Does, and she seems to. It's not that she plays into it, but she's very. She gets a little bit too into herself in the fight and like taunts people, and then I see her getting caught a lot. It's like, well, we'll see.
Well, that's good for you, right? When you're looking at it
Yeah,
as a
no,
from an
I
opponent.
vastly prefer that over somebody that just wants to like pitter patter and run around the whole time. That's
Mhm.
so frustrating.
Do you see any similarities between you and Olena?
Not really. As far as styles go, we're almost opposites as far as what we like to do and where we like to take it.
Let's jump back to November, your PFL debut. You took on a multiple time world champion in Julia Budd and got the victory. Looking back at that performance, how do you feel about everything that transpired in the actual fight?
There's a lot of things I could have done better, but that's hindsight's for lack of words, hindsight's a bitch. But yeah, there's a couple of things where like, I'm proud of that, but for the most part, like any fight I've had, I look back, it's like, man, I did A, B, and C wrong, and I really need to work on that. I definitely should have listened to my coaches better in that fight, but all's well that ends well, I suppose. But yeah, mostly it's what I did wrong that I'm taking away from it. The first round, there's a whole lot of right there. Grappling has always been kind of where I'm most comfortable. I would like to think I'm more well rounded these days, and I enjoy all aspects of the sport, but grappling's still my first love. And when I get there, it's just like, okay, everything's much easier. Life is better. So it's really just pushing that component more than getting striking happy because I like that too. Like it's rough when you're having fun with all of it.
Yeah, it's yeah. To me, I was talking to your coach. I was talking to Jim about that performance as well, and I told him like sometimes you just need to get the win. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
don't need to go in there and finish the fight at the same. Like you just need to win. Like that's the goal. And do you feel like that was the purpose in that fight? Like you made the right adjustments to get the victory?
Yes. Like I'm always trying to get the finish, but sometimes it's just not going to happen. Especially when you have somebody that is as good as Julia is. So like you can do your best, but it doesn't always play out the way that you necessarily want it to.
You went through a lot in the last couple of years. Anybody that watches the sport and then they follow MMA, they know what you've been through. How emotional was that win for you when you actually got back home?
By the time a week was up, I was like, okay, I'm ready to go do it again. But honestly, it's like the biggest release of pressure ever. That's what it feels like. It's like, oh, I can breathe now.
And how did you feel at 145 in that fight?
Healthy, fantastic. Uh, very, very strong, honestly. And there was no, because a lot of the time I'm just focusing on getting back to like okay enough to fight after the weight cut. There was none of that. I was very close to like my natural weight at that point, and there was no like I'm just gonna try to make myself better enough so I can go out and try to fight this person. It was just like, all right, we're normal. So that was a new feeling for me.
So you said like a week later you're ready to get back in there to fight, but there's an off season. So what did you do
There
in the
is
off season?
trained the entire time I was training. I never really take time off like that, and I honestly I'd go a little bit nuts if I did. Like this is what I enjoy doing, and it's my job, so it's like, stay in the gym.
No, no, nothing like you didn't take a vacation or something. Sometimes you do have to pull yourself back, right? Because you don't want to go too hard.
Yeah, no, there wasn't any vacations during that time period. Like I've gotten to see a bunch of fights, that kind of things, my teammates, but nothing extreme, nothing out of the state, nothing.
A lot of cornering, things like that.
I hate cornering. So people, and I've been asked to do it before, but people undervalue what a difficult job that is. So it's like a lot of guys like, I just want my buddy. You shouldn't just have your buddy. You should have somebody that actually knows what they're doing. But it's not only that, because like I could be a fantastic fighter. I'm not gonna be able to convey that. That doesn't just make me a coach. So the ability to say what you need to say at the right moment, that's something where I think fighters should really know what it is to have somebody that knows what they're doing. So maybe they might want me for like my presence or something, but it's like, nah, you need somebody that could actually help you during the fight and could relay that information at the speed you need it.
Yeah, you make some great points there. I've cornered twice, and it's more nerve-wracking than anything, what I mean, just walking out with somebody that you know that's about to go to hand-to-hand combat, and you have no control really over what they're gonna do.
Oh, it's terrible. It hurts your soul. Like, it's like when you're doing it, it's not that bad. Like fighting, sure, it's stressful and all that, but you're just worried about you and you have full control over that. But when I'm watching somebody I care about fight, I feel like I'm gonna throw up the whole time. It's horrible.
It is, and I'm bad luck. Both times I cornered, the guy had got knocked out, so it's like I never do it again. It's the worst feeling. Seriously, it is an emotional roller
Yeah.
coaster. Now when you're heading into this season, what is the process for you? Because you have to get ready to fight back to back to back to back, right? Continuously, and the camps are shorter. Like preparing your body for that, and maybe even mentally preparing for that. What is the process?
It's kind of an interesting one because I've talked to my teammates about this. Like Fluff and Max and I were talking about it. It's like, how do you alter things so you really don't get hurt in between? Because every injury I've had has been getting ready for a fight, and I think that's most fighters too. So really, this is the first time that I've done it. Obviously, I've seen the other people do it. I've listened to them. I've spoken to them about it. But since I've been an amateur, because at that point, my first 6 fights were in 6 months. But that's not top of the world, high level competition. That's just you're getting used to it. And I was 18, so you heal a little faster. But it's really just trying to figure out how the training schedule is going to work in a way where I don't break down too much in between. And there's got to be less like to the death sparring kind of stuff, because you have to do that each camp, especially like you have to have somebody very similar to your opponent and you're just getting in there. But finding the right balance of how much of that and how much to lay off so you don't get injured in between, we're going to be working on that during.
Yeah, I think that's something that a lot of people don't realize is sometimes it's the person that stays the least injured makes it to the finals and
Very much
gets
so.
into a position to where they could, win that $1 million, win the title.
Mm-hmm.
It's a crazy game. It's very interesting to see you going through that for the first time because we've seen other fighters that have done it, and this is their third time or fourth
Mm-hmm.
time,
Yeah.
right? So maybe you can learn from them. I don't know. Maybe they've been doing it wrong the whole time. Who knows? You know what I mean? Who knows?
Yeah, no, I've listened to him for sure. The only one that was like noticeably very burned out from her, she seemed that way, was Kayla, but she's been there since the day one. But she's not in the tournament this year. But listening to her interviews, and it sounds like she had a tough time as far as that goes.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. How different is camp now that you don't have to worry about the weight cut as much? You know what I mean? Like you have, you don't have to worry. Like it's not there.
No.
It doesn't exist. Mentally, it's probably just freeing, right?
It is, and I just feel a lot better, healthier, happier. I'm able to enjoy training. So everything is better, honestly. I'm back to enjoying what I do.
Any new additions for this camp?
Nothing new. Same coaches, Jim, Marcus, Coach Lem, Coach Durham. So same people that I've been with, and just we've been building on the foundation that we already had.
I believe I've seen a video of you and Max and Anthony, like the SNC that you guys go
Hmm.
through. You do the SNC with them, right? With the swimming and all of that stuff.
Not the swimming, so that's something different. I think they have a guy named Swamp Coach, or not, that's not his name, but his stuff is like Swamp Coach. But yeah, no. So I'm with Lem over at Game Fit, and you'll see us all there. Like if you see a video where it looks like we're dying, that's where we're at.
And how has that impacted, your endurance, your physicality inside that cage?
I don't think I could physically be in better shape than I am going into a fight with Lem, and the way that he prepares us for it. So it's fantastic not having a worry as far as that goes. Like that's the one thing for us. It's 100% in your control. It's like, are you going to get tired? Are you in shape? We have 100% control over it, and he guarantees that we're in shape.
Yeah, watching your team and your teammates fight is not it's very I don't think we've ever seen any of you guys really gas in a fight.
No, I mean, like, you also like the baby fighters will get the adrenaline dump, but it's not because they're out of shape. It's like, oh my God, I'm fighting. You have to get used to that. But no, for the most part, as I said, that's 100% in our control, and we're all prepared on that front.
When did you start getting used to that? Like getting that adrenaline dump and then recovering from it and continuing to fight?
Oh man. So probably a few fights in. 'Cause I do remember there's times, especially as an amateur, when I had first started, like I can't feel my legs. I don't. And that goes on the rest of the fight afterwards because you just get so amped, and then it dumps, and you just feel terrible. But you have to figure out how to negate that and how not to get too excited. Obviously, there's nerves, and you can't help that. But it's a fine balance, and I think it just takes time. And I mean, there's some people that maybe they don't feel that and they're a complete psychopath, but I don't know.
You're pretty stoic in your like I think in your like the way you look when you fight. You don't really show like you're tired, anything like that. You're kind of like just straight, you know?
It's a very serious moment. Like, and I have some people, at least I know some people that are very, like, especially the ones that feed off the crowd, they get very amped. They dance, they smile, they laugh, that kind of thing. But that's never been me in there. I have something very serious that I'm trying to do at that moment. So I'm very focused on that.
You've been fighting for a while, on the biggest stage, and I feel like a lot of people probably think you're like 15, 20 years into the game, but you're only 28 years old, and it almost
Yeah.
feels like you're hitting your prime. Do you feel like you're hitting your prime like at the perfect time entering this season?
I do, and I feel like I'm physically hitting my prime, but it's because I've been doing it for so long, but it doesn't feel like it. Like it's like, oh, I started yesterday, but I actually had somebody point that out. I was like, hey, you've been doing this. Whoa, you're right.
Mm.
Um, but no, physically, I feel like I'm coming into my own as far as just a woman, a person.
Mhm.
So I've never felt stronger than I currently do, or more technically savvy, honestly.
So what are your expectations in this fight against Olena?
I expect she's going to come out throwing bombs, trying to take my head off. I don't think she's going to play around that much. I think she's going to be trying to knock me out.
And what are you gonna try to do to her?
Let's wait and see.
April 7th, PFL 2. Go into descriptions, download the AllStar app. Aspen, thank you so much for the time and good luck on this season. It's gonna be an exciting one. I'm very interested to follow your journey.
Thank you very much. I can't wait either. It's going to be awesome.